You're listening to the Snipers Club live stream. Thank you so much for being here with us, guys. We're super excited about the season, and it's great to have you all here. We're going to be looking at how we did last season, where we did well, where we can improve, and really make sure that we absolutely decimate 2026. So without further ado, I'm going to welcome you to our co-host, Airwolf. We're going to listen to his dulcet tones for the next hour or so. Welcome, Airwolf. How are you doing, mate?
Good, thank you. Hi, everyone. I recognize a few names. I've been a member for the last couple of years, so I'm happy to be here and chat over how we went last year.
Oh, cool. Is this your 4th year? I think you've done 3 seasons. I think this is going to be our 4th anniversary.
I think it's my 3rd, but then who knows? Time flies when you're having fun.
Absolutely. Cool. So let's have a quick summary of how we think the season went. Top of the pile for us, guys, are pretty much the Warriors teams. Kick off with the New Zealand Warriors. Absolutely destroyed it for us. We found their starlet in the rough before he was known. We've got loads more in our black book for the season to follow. And we've been through all the pathways and all the kids and everyone that's coming through so we can get the value before the bookies know about it. How did it go for the Wars last season, mate, being a Wars fan yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite disappointing as a season as a fan because we had so many injuries, Barnett, Metcalf, and so on. However, you know, as you pointed out, Sniper, Leka Halasema was a absolute shining light for the fans, and then also for our bank balances, right? Who will forget him storming down the sideline against the Tigers to score last for us and make a serious bank. And then, of course, I think a couple of weeks later, he scored against Melbourne, and then the rest is sort of history. Very good spotting by Sniper, because some people might have remembered in 2024, he nearly scored a miraculous solo try against the Dogs, and he just got held up. And so if people are paying attention, they might have realized, oh, this guy's something special. And then the following season, Sniper was onto it before a lot of the bookies.
Yeah, I started to see him running more and more AFB type lines the season before, and we had him in the black book anyway. And I think there are a couple more Wars I think they're going to be well worth looking at. There's a guy coming over from England. We'll talk about him a bit more closely as the season approaches, and we'll take it from there. So can you see the sheet at the moment, Airwolf? Is that on the screen?
Yep, it is. If everyone maximizes their windows, they'll see the sheet just fine.
Okay, cool. So we've gone into sort of minuscule detail, guys, here to work out where we're good, where we can improve, and so on. So we'll just start quickly here. If we look at leagues, NRL, we made 535 trades for roughly 20% ROI. Super League, there's 194 trades for, again, roughly 20% ROI. So if you were to only take handicap lines, ATS on those 2 comps, and you level staked pretty much everything, you'd be up 20% over the course of a season. Our championship bets were significantly better, 34.7%. NRLW, we struggled early because of Vegas. I think we put out about 15 multis, which didn't come off, so we had to claw our way back from there. Let's just let this person into the call. Excuse me. Do you want to take over about Vegas, mate, whilst I let someone in?
Yeah, Vegas was not the most fortunate start to us for the season, but we clawed it all back in the following months. But Vegas was tough, I reckon, because it was hard to know, I think, which teams were going to turn up, because they all had to travel to Vegas. They all had to contend with different conditions, a weird-sized ground. So the Raiders, really did a number on the Warriors. The Warriors didn't turn up. I think, was it Wigan playing?
Yeah.
Wigan just
Warrington. Wigan Warrington.
Yeah, Wigan just decimated Warrington. Warrington didn't turn up, which we didn't expect. And then in the women's international, if only we'd known that the English women had been out until 3 a.m. the night before or something, we would have just laddered Australian points and multied every Australian try scorer. So I think that could be.
I found out the Monday after.
So did I.
From Rugby League Outsiders, which was just really disappointing.
So I think in hindsight, maybe we were a little bit careful about Vegas, maybe this year, perhaps.
Yeah. So that block there, guys, of losses, there's probably 15 or 16 in there. Those are all pretty much SGMs, small stakes, more or less. You can see 0.2s and 0.3s here. That all pretty much narrowly went down. I think we had one of the Aussie women to cross. It was a double movement. She scored in the last 5 minutes, and then it got cancelled. Not saying that it would have been any better, but it can be a little bit difficult to know which teams are undercooked, who's ready, who's up for it, who's been out on the piss, and so on. So, we'll keep our eye on Vegas. Let's go back to the stats. Right, internationals, 43 bets. So this is predominantly a couple of them in the preseason in Vegas, and then the Pacific Championships. So, I mean, we did well. We clawed our way back in the end. We had a couple of massive winners at the end. But they can be challenging. And I think the most important thing for anyone new that hasn't been with us for a period of time is just to get the bankroll staking right. So many times over the seasons, we've ended up similar to where we are now in terms of ROI, but people have got their staking wrong, and they pretty much jumped ship at exactly the wrong time. So if we go to our chart on the right-hand side here, if I can find it, no, I can't. Probably in the wrong section. It's in the backlog.
Use the table, the month-by-month table.
Here we go. There we go. There's the tracker. So that dip is pretty much Vegas here. And then we really start to kick on after Vegas. There's another dip around the 200 unit mark here.
I think that was Origin, I think. I could be wrong.
No, we did really well in Origin this year. We were worried we weren't, because historically that's been our worst time of year. But we smashed Origin.
Yeah,
I think we went on like a 12-week winning streak or something.
It must have been post-Origin blues, so to speak. Yeah.
I think this is the concussion period. We had an HIA concussion period where lots of our players were getting taken off the field or having tries cancelled. And I think this is around the end of June, beginning of July period.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have another,
And then you can see the internationals right at the end, that little bit of a slide and then a jump at the end. Tonga really didn't turn up. The odd PNG game was impossible to decipher, even though we did get some good winners. But I think we did so well on our bread and butter NRL and Super League over the seasons, so that's pretty great.
All right, mate. Let's dig a little bit deeper. In terms of bet types, from the research that you've done, what are our best bet types?
So Sniper's probably going to go into this in a minute, but anytime try scorers definitely, I think, are the highlights for this group. It's pretty hard to make big bank, right, when you're just trying to win on evens odds, on sort of handicaps or match totals or whatever, right? So I think Sniper's got a nice summary of our best kind of bet types and the odds ranges, which tend to be anytime try scorer, value plays.
Mate, you're going to have to continue speaking whilst I find
it. Go down a bit more slowly because I think I just saw it. So,
did you?
Yeah. Oh no, it was the other tab. It was the
summary tab.
Yeah, just go down slowly. And there we go. Stop. Odd sweet spots there on the left. See.
Okay, you can run through this, mate.
not anything. The things that we bet in the $10+ range, or the 10-to-1 kind of range, or 9-to-1 plus range, we have a very good P&L and an ROI of about 14%. And then in the 3-to-4, so for the UK people, that's 2-to-1 to 3-to-1 range, we have an even better ROI and a strong P&L. So for me, those are those Herbie Farnworth type tries between $3 and $4 odds, or Jake Avarillo's, and then in the 10+, that's things like Leka Halasima to score last, or Big Josh Papali to score last, or I think Samuela Fainu, those kinds of things. We can probably look at the table above where we've got our Hall of Fame for the for our try scorers. So we got Leka Halasima, who's the big money earner. I think Ray Stone scored a try for us. Out of nowhere. And we've got Fainu, as mentioned, Herbie, number 5, consistent earner, and his mate Avarillo at number 8. So the Dolphins have been very kind to us. And then last but not least, number 4, Eli Katoa, made us a good 17 units, but poor guy, we won't be able to bet on him this year due to his head injury.
Yeah, one to watch for sure, guys, for the upcoming season. Shalom Sauso in the NRLW. The market's starting to cotton on to her, but she's, the female version of Eli Katoa. She is that good.
She's the bench forward for the Broncos, eh?
Yeah.
At the moment, isn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, she's 2RF, right side 2RF. But she can play in the middle as well. And she's getting longer and longer stints. Often what they do is name her on the bench but actually start her. So we're starting to get good wind of when the team sheet looks slightly wrong. So we're getting sort of 8-to-1 odds when she should probably be 3-to-1. So those are serious money spinners for us. And, that's how we make our bread and butter on the ATS. These figures, guys, don't include ATS doubles. We'll come on to those as we progress. Let's have a look at this. So this table here, where the Warriors are, is most profitable teams combined by both leagues. So we know it was the Warriors in the NRL that was our best performing team. It was the Wigan Warriors in the Super League. So what we did was combine them to see who our overall most profitable combined are. So Warriors number 1, New Zealand Warriors, Storm number 2. We had quite a few decent hits on the Storm, quite a few players. We had good reads on them, wouldn't you say, Airwolf?
We definitely did. I'm just consulting some of the analysis that I did for the Storm. We had quite a few try-scoring hits. Katoa, as we previously mentioned, Jerome Hughes, Ryan Pappenhausen, Tyron Wishart. Remember that period where Tyron Wishart would just come up off the bench and inevitably score? William Warbrick, pretty reliable guy, except, we had him until he turned to crap in the finals. So we made our money off him when the time was right. And Xavier Coates, obviously. So Storm was pretty good. And if I remember rightly, we needed them to beat the Raiders, remember?
Yes,
for a
raining.
Payday, and unfortunately they didn't quite get it done. But they were very reliable for us.
That Gerard Sutton moment. I wouldn't say it was anything other than a Gerard Sutton moment.
Oh, yes, because Yes, that's right.
Do you remember, who was it? The fullback got the ball in the wet. He put a crazy kick through for himself, and he managed to scoop it up with Pappenhausen diving behind him, but not reaching him, and scoring in the last play of the game.
Yeah, it's the Raiders fullback. Everyone will know who he is, but I've forgotten.
Exactly. And then it was smash your TV time.
But the Wigan Warriors bets are really interesting because we did really well with the Wigan Warriors on interesting handicaps, I think, where Sniper figured out times where Wigan were just going to put somebody to the sword. And we did all kinds of things like first half handicaps, second half handicaps, match handicaps, a few other things like that, alongside a few try scorers as well.
So I think it was Eckersley we had a few times, Farrimond,
Kieran.
Kieran. Kieran's a very good one for us. Jay Field we didn't really connect with.
No, we didn't, I don't think.
Which was a bit of a shame. Okay, so what are handicaps on the Wigan Warriors good?
Yes, they definitely were. They definitely were. I'm just looking at my minus lines. Wigan Warriors minus lines gave us 13 units alone.
Okay. All right, so we can separate what can be improved. And mate, just carry on speaking. I've got to let someone in.
Oh yeah. Do you want me?
There we go.
Do you want me to talk about minus lines and so our minus lines in the UK Championship went really well. Our minus lines in Super League, not just Wigan, a few other teams as well, went really well overall. And then unfortunately in the NRL we really struggled with minus lines. We were down about 35 units on minus lines in the NRL. And that was super interesting to think about because I don't know about you guys, but I remember lots of furious comebacks last year in the NRL. You just think a team's home and they're going to win by heaps. They concede 2 tries, maybe sometimes even 3. And I think the refs were very happy to see that happen for Peter V'landys and co because it kept games interesting, but it wasn't great for us at times. The only team that nailed their handicaps for us really well were the Raiders, and a little bit of the Dragons and a little bit of the Cowboys when we took the minuses. The teams that didn't do very well for us were the Tigers. Unsurprisingly, I guess they promised to do really well for a while and then lost Galvin and all kinds of, wheels fell off. The Eels were a little similar. They were looking good for a while, but then they've characteristically been a very, I guess, inconsistent team, and that kind of showed. So those are a couple of flaky teams, and then the flaky team that I love to hate is the Sharks. So they were the next, worst team for us on handicaps. So I got the feeling with that, the Sharks, they traditionally struggle a lot to put away teams that they sometimes should put away. They might win, but they might, they should have won by 12 and they only win by, a couple sometimes. So that's something to maybe watch out for this.
That's been a theme with us. This Sharks thing is not new. So I think definitely a note for next season, guys. Sharks handicaps probably are best avoided. We just haven't had a good read on them. I'd say
I think Brody just asked a question here. Do you think we'll reduce handicaps in the NRL this year? And so I think that's probably right, isn't it? Yeah,
100% for sure.
Or maybe we'll just avoid all the teams we think are likely to be flaky. So we'll filter more. Yeah,
right. But we are good on the Sharks in another area. Really good on them, aren't we?
We are, and I'm just wandering around my spreadsheet. We've done okay with them for try scoring, as an example. So I'm just scrolling around, and we managed to hit Adam Fanua-Blake. Not quite as often as we would have liked, I think, but we're in profit for him. We are up nearly 10 units on Blake Brayley. I don't know if you guys remember, he started having an amazing season towards the end of last year, and we bet on him, and he didn't score like a hooker normally scores. He plucked a bomb, I think, or backed up a bomb out of thin air, but he scored, did the job. And then Kale Iro was a bit of a money printer for us, so that's pretty good.
If you were backing Ronaldo Mulatalo every week last season, you would have no bankroll left.
Yeah,
the guy,
no.
He scored very few tries. He was priced up at around 1.5, 1.6 every single week. Iro doesn't tend to offload to the left-hand wing very much. He's injured now, Mulatalo, so Stone Street should be getting that left wing spot. It'll be quite interesting to see if Iro does start passing or if Stone Street can keep his numbers up, because he's got great figures. Personally, I'd rather see him on the right, and I'd move Sione Katoa left. But I don't think he's going to tinker that way, and I think it may be a case of a bit of a drought for Stone Street, despite him being an excellent player, and I think one of the best up-and-coming wingers in the NRL.
We also found Billy Burns and Ramian tricky to hit.
Really? So we'd back Burns the week after he scored or the week before he scored?
Yeah, pretty much. Ramian, probably a similar story, because Ramian sometimes he's just superhuman, and then other times he's maybe a bit so-so, or he just doesn't even see the ball.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to a few other things. How did so? I remember. I mean, guys, we're here to. We're all in the same boat. We back every single selection with you. So this is why it's super important for us to sort of sit down together, go through the figures, work out what we can improve for everyone, so that all our bankrolls improve. We're not here to hide anything. We're not here. We've never fudged anything. We're not here to say, yeah, we're really good. We're the best thing since sliced bread. We're not. People do things in different ways. People like to use a multitude of different ways to make money with scanners, their own picks, our picks, other services, whatever. So I think the really important thing is to find out what works for you personally, to make sure that I would probably suggest starting with a smaller stake early in the season and then building up as your bankroll goes. Because it's really frustrating to, overspend or overshoot your load early in the season and then, feel like you've missed out slightly or had to take a break or dip in and out of the service, then you lose your spot and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
How do you manage the staking, Airwolf? For anyone that hasn't been with us before.
For me, the lessons I've learned over my last couple of years is, watch out for February, because as good as Sniper is, February's pretty weird, especially a bit of preseason and round 1 and 2. And then once he gets his calibration going, then we're usually off to the races. So this year for me, I think I'll be careful around February. So even if maybe the Sniper will probably say it anyway. He'll probably say, oh, you might want to go half stakes in preseason or whatever. So just go easy on it, is what I'll be doing. And then probably after Vegas, I'll be, just going at full stakes and watch from there. I do think, the topping up of the bankroll thing can get very tricky. I think we've all been there, where sometimes your bankroll's practically at zero, and then the question is, do you top up and keep going or not? For me, I've been lucky with this group a couple of years in a row where I've just pushed through, and that's worked out really well. But definitely do what works for you. Obviously, don't try to play with stuff you don't have.
Yeah, and reduce stakes if you need to, guys. It's better that you're there for the whole season to make 20 or 30% than you dip out at the wrong time.
That's true.
And you miss the 250 to 300 unit upswing.
Yeah.
So, there's no need to hit a sort of Hollywood pass every single time you bet. And the season's long.
Just speaking for myself as well, I do see it a little bit as a fun way to make money, but also just actual entertainment. So it kind of helps. Like it can really help if you're an actual NRL fan or Super League fan or whatever, and you're watching the games and you've got a bit of money on it. Totally get it that there are others who are super keen on just making money, but it definitely helps then. If you don't know the sport very well, try and get into it. It definitely helps with some. There'll be some times where it'll be a bit frustrating, but then you can at least have a laugh, or at least say, well, okay, I lost $100 on this game or whatever. But it was entertaining, if nothing else, that kind of thing. And we certainly had some entertaining moments, didn't we, Sniper? Like overall, what Dan said, yeah, he's totally right. Yeah, like I treat it as like, oh, here's like 1% or 0.5% of what I would invest, So I don't treat it like a huge part of my portfolio. More of my portfolio is in the bank or in stocks and shares. But
what's it getting? 1%, making 1% in there. 1% bank rate.
Yeah. So I have my slow and steady earners with most of my money because it's probably the wise thing to do. Don't gamble all your life savings on sports. But then I go, here's 1% that could turn into 2% or 3% really easily, and it'll be fun, So that's kind of that's kind of been my philosophy.
Thank you, Warren Buffett. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next bit. The other thing, guys, and this is again, we've got certain people that come in and they decide that they're going to cherry pick selections. Do you want to give us a minute or two about cherry picking, Airwolf?
Yeah, so it's probably easy for me to say because I've been around for a while, but yeah, just get on everything you can is probably better, and follow the staking plan. I know that for like I'm in New Zealand, so I sometimes struggle with some of the European games, Super League games and the like, because I might be asleep or just going to sleep when the tip comes out. But those things aside, and obviously if you don't have access to a particular book or something, then those are reasonable excuses to not place the bets. But if you can get on the bets and you can get them at the odds that Sniper recommends, towards the end of last season, he started saying, do not go any lower than these odds, which is really helpful. So if you can pick those boxes, get on the bets at the odds that are recommended, do as much as you can, because sometimes it's just whether it's plus EV or not, right? Whether the bookies are offering you way too high a return for the real probability. So sometimes we bet on things that are like 30 to 1 or 20 to 1 or 40 to 1. And you might think, oh, well, that's probably not going to come in. But over the course of a season, 1 or 2 of them might come in. And that's, you don't want to miss out at that point. So try your best to get on everything. Not everyone's going to be able to get on everything. That's life. But try your best. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good point. Yeah, I definitely back everything because the one that you leave out is Sod's Law. It's probably going to be the biggie that hits. So definitely cover everything. The other thing, guys, is just ahead of Team List Tuesday this year, what we saw last year was a dramatic shift in the way that Bet365 were opening up on anytime try scorers on Tuesdays. That happens 4 p.m. every Tuesday, Sydney time. So it's around 8 o'clock in the morning, UK time. And we have a session where everyone gets together. We drop our favorite selections for the week and we get them on early. I think Denise had noticed that many groups were starting to pick off early odds. So a player that's supposed to open up at $4 was opening up at $3. And what she was starting to do was drift it out closer to kickoff time. This is super, super important. And we'll come on to this in the sheet in a second. If you look at previous seasons, there was way more value in Team List Tuesday on Bet365 than other bookies. That's changed dramatically. They've become a bit more of a shop window these days because they're selling the firm and the traders are, shaving off EV as and when they can. I'm not saying that it's not good anymore, it is. But instead of us taking 10 or 11 bets on Team List Tuesday, we'd probably end up taking 4, 5 at a push, and then we'd be drip feeding the selections in the closer we got to game time. The other things that we saw was probably the sweet spot for having a bet at the best odds on Bet365 was just before 24-hour mail. So assume it's Dolphins Canberra on Friday morning and kickoffs 11 a.m. London. You'd want to be on by before 11 a.m. On Thursday, so 24 hours before. With some of the other selections that Airwolf was just talking about, the later stuff, sometimes because of weather, conditions, team sheets looking wrong, we will let you guys know that the bet for that selection will be late i.e. we need to wait for the teams. Because in the Super League, it's different to NRL. There is no Teamless Tuesday, and it's speculation up until an hour and a half before kickoff. So we'll let you know, as we always do, that any specific try scorer plays will be late on any given day.